Rez already did it for me. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. What is going on, everybody? Thank you very much for being here. Appreciate you guys being a part. Did we get to August 1st? Damn. How the hell did we get to August 1st? Great stuff. Thank you very much for being here. Appreciate you guys being a part of the show. Just a quick reminder, if it's the first time you've been here, thank you for being here, even though I don't think that's probably the case. Most of the people here are they're repeat customers. They're coming into the restaurant a lot. Thank you for being here. Please subscribe to the channel if you guys don't mind. Got a packed show today. Packed show on a Friday. Looking forward to getting through a ton of topics. Couple topics that kind of irritate me. Got to be honest with you guys. There's I don't really have too many things that will irritate me, and especially in sports. Well, no, don't get me wrong. I mean, if I'm watching, there's plenty of things to be irritated about. But I got one that irritated me today. We got a lot to get into, so I'm looking forward to getting the show going, and we will take it from there. So let me give everyone good morning, my people. I think you guys kind of know my lingo. You guys know my language here. All right, let me give everyone just a quick rundown of what we got for the show today. Do have a number of things to get into, and then we'll get the show started. I got a little bit of a kind of adjustment we're going to make probably for the month of August, it looks like. So I'll talk about that towards the end of the show, and we'll go from there. Okay, real quick here. Got all my topics laid out here perfectly. God, who does all this? All right. I mentioned this during the week that I wanted to do just a show where I talked a little bit about some of the Laker assets that they have. What is it exactly that they're going to be doing? All that stuff. I just want to kind of list out the Laker assets that they have because there is a lot of this week was spent on talking about what else the Lakers can do, even though it's not going to happen in the summer. It's probably going to happen later on. All right. So what are those assets? What are the strongest assets that the Lakers have if they are going to use them? So we'll kind of list out some of the assets that the Lakers have. This next one kind of irritated me. This one kind of got to me. I gotta be honest with everybody. This one kind of got to me. I'm gonna skip it right now. I'm gonna skip it, and then I'm just gonna get into it when I get into it. Okay. The second topic, the one that's located. Okay, I can't even right there. I'm gonna skip for now. I don't know why my hands cannot work with the screen. I'm gonna skip that one for now. We'll skip that one for now. Will Reaves and Luka work? Such an interesting year coming into this season. I mean, I'm not telling you that Austin Reaves is not a really good basketball player. We all know Luka has a chance to be MVP this year. That's how good of a player. Question is going to be, can the two work together? Like, does it make sense to have those two in the backcourt for a long-term perspective? So we'll get into that a little bit. Guest today, Sammy's been coming on primarily on Thursdays. Today he's obviously coming on, so on a Friday. Sammy's going to come on. I asked Sammy, I said, Sammy, need your help. Need some topics that you and I can get through. So he kind of listed out some good topics that him and I are going to hit on as well. ESPN did their off-season power rankings. Where are the Lakers? Are they in the top 5? No. Are they in the top 10? Well, just hang around, wait, and we'll get into it in a little bit. We'll do the weekend preview, and then we will call it a week. So thank you, everybody, for being here. Appreciate you guys being a part of the show. Really active chat, as always, so thank you for that. If you guys can please subscribe to the channel, let's kind of try to reach that next milestone as far as memberships go, or as far as subscribers go. We greatly appreciate that. For members that are out there, thank you for being a member. Yesterday, I posted something. I was at Brad Wallace's office, and he's got a lot of really cool memorabilia, and a lot of it is sports memorabilia. He's got amazing Laker memorabilia as well. He specifically had a Kobe piece that I put out there, and he kind of explained what exactly that piece is. It's number 1 of 24 pieces that are out there. It's really cool. So anyways, I put that out to members. If you guys have interest in being a member, $3 a month. Would love as many members as possible. And thank you to all those who are members, because I know most of those people are just doing it because they want to support the channel. Let's get the show started. Let me just start out with the first one. Bron, what are you doing? What are you doing? Like, what I don't understand this. Does somebody want to help explain this to me? I'm not a I don't get too much into the drama. I don't get too much into, kind of the BS and the BS stories. And I'm not sitting here trying to tell you that LeBron tomorrow is joining the Los Angeles Clippers. That's not the case that I'm trying to make. But here's a question that I want to ask for everybody. What's the point of doing this? I mean, good God, how much attention do we need in life? I'm going to share this with everybody. I know I got this up with there's just a couple articles. I think this one was from the Post or something like that. This people want to, anybody that wants to sit here and make an argument. Well, no, because, the clutch and, his offices, it used to be the Clippers and then that logo is still up there. The dude is obviously taking a picture in front of a Clippers logo for a reason. For what? What's the reason? Why? Jesus Lord, do we have to, and listen, I'm going to tell you guys, I was talking to Trevor Lane yesterday. Trevor Lane was on the show, and I was spending a lot of time. Basically, Trevor and I were talking, and we're like, listen, I don't think this man gets enough credit, whatever the case is. You want to talk about what he does on the basketball floor. When Luka got here, he kind of instantly was like, cool, I'm all good. Here are the keys. Go do your thing. I'm going to do my thing. All that stuff. We don't question any of that stuff. If you got any question that Bron ain't one of the greatest to ever do it, top 2, top 3, wherever you want to put him, go ahead and put him wherever you want to be it. But my God, some of the attention seeking, sometimes it's just too much. It's just too much. What's the point of why? Now, there was like a number of photos that were up there. I think he had maybe 8, 9, 10 photos, his Instagram post, everything else. I don't even know why I'm popping this on that. Let me actually see if I can pop this. Anyways. All right. Is what it is. We'll just leave that one right there. If you guys want my personal opinion, wildly annoying to see that. It's just wildly annoying to see it. I don't really have another angle on this. I would just tell you it's so unnecessary. And, maybe this is, I've heard people say this before. This is kind of the brilliance that comes with LeBron. Let me take this one out. I don't even know why I'm sharing that. Let me share this one. I'll actually just go to LeBron's Instagram and we'll have it here. Here's LeBron. Here's the photo. If you guys can see it. All right. Everybody can see it right there. It just, to me, it is. And somebody's asking, what is this? LeBron posted on his Instagram yesterday. Say whatever you want, but you damn sure won't be able to say I didn't put in the work. No one's questioned that. We'll see what happens when I no longer exist. Man, F this she. He's got photos, right? Got photos. Bryce James right there, his son. He's got all his photos. He's out there working out. We're not even August 1st and Bron's doing work. No one's questioning that. No one's ever going to question the work that Bron puts in. But when people get annoyed by LeBron, these are the type of things they get annoyed about. And I got to be honest with you, and I'm one that usually things just kind of brush off me. I don't care. I was annoyed by it. Why the hell you put, even the camera angle is like a perfect angle. It's like, hey, let's make sure we got the small Clippers logo there and then we got the big Clippers logo on the back. Is that necessary? I don't think it's necessary. I'll read a few of your comments. I'm not going to spend 20 minutes on this, but my God, the level of attention sometimes is just too much. Period. Like, I don't know how else to put it. It's just too much. Now, LeBron could also be saying to himself, yeah, but your dumbass is talking about it. He's right. I am. And LeBron could also be saying, yeah, but look at all the other articles that just came out today and this morning. They're talking about it. All right. He's right about that as well. Maybe there's a brilliance to doing things like this, but I'm just saying it for myself. Yeah, I'm good. I don't think I need that Clippers logo in the background. I remember somebody had said this. I think it was like, when was this? I don't know, maybe a week ago, a week and a half ago, something along those lines. Somebody had said that he thinks that LeBron will sign with the Clippers next year. Okay. And I was like, what the hell are you talking about? And I started thinking about it. He's like, okay, well, maybe he wants to stay in LA. Clippers obviously continue to put together a competitive team. I'm not telling you Clippers are putting together a championship team, but they're definitely putting together obviously a good team, a competitive team. A lot of people say they're just too old, whatever the case is. I'm not going to argue that. We'll find out when the season starts. They're wildly deep. They got, 2 guys to each position. We'll see what happens. But somebody had made the argument. They're like, next year is going to go sign with the Clippers for the minimum, kind of stick it to the Lakers or something along those lines. Or he still wants to stay in LA and he wants a chance to compete. But when I saw that logo yesterday, and I don't think it would even matter if it was a Cavs logo, you probably feel the same way. It was this, whatever the case is. I mean, I guess if it was a random, if it was the Charlotte, you'd be like, all right, well, that doesn't mean anything. But you guys know what I'm talking about. So I thought it was a little bit annoying. I know some people are going to say in the chats, Al, you're making too big of a deal about it. It's not even making a big deal about it. It's just annoying. That's the best way that I can put it. I just thought it was annoying. So we'll go from there. So whatever you guys think of it, I'll look at a couple comments. Let's see. Let LeBron ride off into the sunset. Good grief. All right, let's get another one. Even if he owns the facility, which again, there is a storyline to this, I guess, and I'll read it exactly just so people have a little bit more background. Maybe somebody are reading the comments and they're not getting all of them. The story is, as far as the facility goes, let me just find post on LeBron's Instagram was taken at the Clutch Sports Group offices. The building used to house the Clippers, but Clutch hasn't swapped out the logos. So all of that, I'm not denying any of that stuff. I'm just saying that you don't want to take another angle. You don't want to maybe just get a different angle. I mean, you took 9-10 other photos that didn't have the Clippers logo. That one just happened to be perfect. And the first one, it had the perfect logo in the bottom, logo in the background, and then you had 9 other photos that didn't have any logos. But that gives you guys a little bit of a background. I guess that is the Clutch Sports Group offices, which used to house the Clippers in the past. That gives a little bit of the context to it. It's his ego, always happy to be in the spotlight. Here's what I think is going to happen. And I've said this before, and I'll say it again. One thing I never question with LeBron, and if somebody else questions it, frankly, I think you're wrong if you're going to question this in regards to Bron. One thing I never question with Bron, is this dude ready when the season starts? The answer is yes. He'll be ready for when the season starts. He's probably already getting ready now. Clearly, he's already in the workouts. What he posted a couple days ago that he was in the gym before, what was it, 4 something in the morning, something like that. I don't think anybody's ever going to question that. His productivity on the floor, you can't question it. And honestly, the way he plays the game, you can't question it. But little things like this is what I think triggers people in some of the LeBron conversation. All right, let's see what we got here. Let's see. NBA players can use the facility. No big deal. LeBron's a Laker. I mean, but Big Art, you cannot tell me that wasn't a photo shoot there. I mean, you couldn't have placed the logos any more. No, Bron, turn Bron a little bit more to your left. You're almost there. Okay, perfect. Okay, let's take it. And then they took 18 photos, and then that's the one they used. That's the right one. I get it. It is the facility. I get it. He is a Los Angeles Laker. But I think you guys know what I'm talking about. All right, just want to get that one off my chest. That's it. Let's move on from that. I don't want to spend any more time on that. I'm going to give myself a migraine there. Okay. This is just me in my own head. Okay, one quick thing I'm going to bring up here. So today, Friday, August 1st, if you guys were listening to the show earlier in the week, and this has been pretty widely reported, but Dave McMenamin came on here and his exact quote was something along the lines of he expects LeBron to sign that extension this weekend, or I'm sorry, Luka to sign that extension this weekend. So I think by the time I do my show on Monday, there's going to be a very good chance that Luka's extended. And if anything happens, tomorrow or Sunday, we'll go live on it. So obviously we'll jump right into it and we'll get started on all that. So just a heads up, if anything goes down from that perspective, then we'll obviously be talking about it. Okay, another topic I want to get into, and I want to just talk about some of the Laker assets. All right. So this is why I want to bring this up. I don't think the Lakers will be making really any other moves for the rest of the summer. And however you want to describe what the Lakers were able to do over the summer, you could be positive about it. You could be negative about it. You're entitled to your own opinion. I thought the Lakers did a pretty good job this summer. I did. I thought that they accomplished some needs that they had. They kept a ton of flexibility. And I thought the most important thing for the Lakers, they didn't go get a big man, but they had to give up other assets to do so. And now they were kind of stuck with that big man and hoping that this average big man will, that he's got to click and he's got to work or the Lakers are screwed. So I didn't really feel like they had to do that. I think the thing for me that I'm most excited about the Lakers this upcoming season, it's not that the product that they currently have, I think it's the product that they could potentially have. So let me explain to you what I mean by that. I don't know how Ayton's going to work out. I don't know how Marcus Smart's going to work out. I don't know how Jake LaRavia is going to work out. I don't know how Due Theroux is going to work out. I don't know how some of the different guys that they got are going to work out. The hope is that the loss of Dorian Finney-Smith, Jordan Goodwin, some of these other players that are not on this Lakers roster anymore, you were able to replace them and figure out. The other hope is guys like Austin Reaves and Rui Hachimura, they're better than they have been in the past. Vando's a little bit more healthy. Maxi Kleba is healthy and is able to be somewhat productive. Gabe Vincent, you hope, I'm holding my breath on some of these guys here, to be honest with you, is a little bit more productive. I think the main thing as well is Luka more comfortable? Does Luka have, is he starting this season just a much better place mentally and physically? All those things are going to be wildly important for the Lakers. But when I say I'm not that excited about the Lakers roster today, I say that because Trevor was on yesterday, Trevor Lane. We're talking about championship contenders. And are the Lakers championship contenders as is? And Kendrick Perkins was trying to make the case, oh, yeah, they definitely are. I don't think so. I think they got a long way to go to be championship contenders. But I just want to kind of start listing out the assets that the Lakers have and how critical these assets are going to be for the Lakers as we continue to move forward. Obviously, when I say this, what I'm referring to is if you want to be the team that you need to be after the trade deadline, they're still going to have some work to do. So let's start listing out some of these assets that the Lakers have. Then I want to talk a little Austin Reaves and Luka. So we'll kind of keep going to some of the stuff. But let me bring Sammy into the mix here so he can join me, and then we could talk about it together. All right, there is Sammy. Sammy Long, everybody. Sammy Long, everybody.
Sliwa, what's up, dude?
What's going on, brother?
How you doing?
Good, man. How are you doing?
Doing good. It's a Friday. Got big weekend plans?
Big weekend plans? No, not really, to be honest with you. Nothing crazy. It's not going to be a Sammy Long type of weekend. You're the one that can go out there and do what you do at age 22, wherever old you are.
You're not going to go look at 80s mansion that just listed on the market in Beverly Hills for $39.9 million?
I looked at it last night, and that's a real story. That's a real story. I was looking at for some Laker topics, and I saw 39.9. And for a second there, I'm like, yeah, I think I forgot how much money NBA athletes make. 39.9 million is what he's asking for. That's wild to me.
Remember when LeBron bought the house in the bubble for 55? Just on Zillow. Just bought it off Zillow.
And I know he's building whatever he's building in, I don't know, Beverly Hills, I don't know where the hell it is, but it's somewhere in one of those areas. Okay, Sammy, you're going to do this with me here. We're going to talk. I mentioned, and I kind of set it up, that the Laker assets, what assets that the Lakers have. Tell me if you agree with this. I'm looking forward to the season starting. I got some curiosity. I think they definitely address some needs. They'll have to be better internally. Guys will just have to be better. Luka, as great as Luka is, he's going to have to be better than what he was for the Lakers last year. I think Austin Reaves is going to have to know exactly what his role is. Obviously, they're going to need guys like Rui and Gabe and Vando, and everybody's going to have to be a little bit better. And it's just the West is that competitive. But I think one of the things that I am excited about this upcoming season, I think that they have the roster that they're going to have starting October 1st for training camp. That's not the roster that I think they're going to have by the time you get to the trade deadline. It feels like they got a ton of flexibility. They definitely have options. And if I start listing out some of the assets, because I think it's going to be important as we go, what are some of the assets to you that you feel like, hey, I'd really like to hold on to this asset or these assets? And what are some of the assets you're like, if that goes tomorrow, you're not losing any sleep over it?
Sounds good. You listen through
them? Okay, let me. I'll go with a couple that are, I think, a little bit more on the tougher side. Okay. Because I think there's some that it's like, all right, it happens. It happens. What do you think of Rui? He's
Rui,
tougher.
Yeah,
Rui's a little
weird.
tougher. Yeah.
Because it depends what you get back. Like Rui at times can be the player that I think people looked at in the scouts and why he was a lottery pick. He has the size, he has the ability. He does have the ability to score at a high clip sometimes. But very like he's not D'Lo, but he's very inconsistent sometimes. Sometimes when you feel like you need Rui to step up and be a legit scorer, he's not. And then when you kind of forget about Rui, then he comes up and becomes a big time scorer.
Can I say something about that? What you just said? That is the best way to describe Rui. When I'm not expecting anything from Rui, I get something. When I get excited about Rui, I get nothing. It's like it's like this. He'll just randomly through 3 quarters. I'm like, does he have 17 points and he's 7 of 9 from the field or whatever it is, right? I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. And then there are times where I'm like, okay, hey, yeah, Rui had a really good couple of games. I'm expecting someone that's like, yeah, he ain't there.
I also think with the Lakers getting bigger in terms of size, adding Ayton and even Vando, even like Laravia is not a big player, but he's a bigger guard. I think he becomes more expendable because you weren't going to get rid of Rui when he had to drop down and play center because he was, at one point, the third biggest guy behind Jackson Hayes and LeBron. I mean, so it's like you really couldn't get rid of him. I do think the Lakers adding some size allows you to possibly deal him, but at the right price, I wouldn't just get rid of him. I do think Rui's a good player, but I wouldn't be devastated if the Lakers lost Rui Hachimura.
Okay, he's an interesting asset. That's why, I want to kind of throw him as one of the first ones up there because I think he's the one that you're hoping you're getting some good pieces back if Rui's on is one of the assets that you're getting rid of. Okay, Knecht.
I think he's extremely expendable because of Laravia. Because you signed Jake Laravia, and we'll obviously have Luka. Also depends what you do with Austin Reaves. He's very expendable in that I think he's extremely valuable to other teams because rarely do you see a guy who's 23 years old who can shoot that's going to be on the trade block. Now, I mean, people are always like he's kind of centered around the trade pieces. It is like Luka and LeBron for a year, however long LeBron's going to be here. You do need shooters. So you would think that you would want to keep the guy who is 23 and can shoot. But I do think what the Lakers did in the offseason allows you to move him, and he would probably be the center of most trade packages. Like, do you think he's a must-keep piece? Or
I don't think he's a must-keep. You know what I don't like about Knecht? I think that we talked about this before. His value is I don't know what his value is now. Unfortunately, there are times you'd like to sell whatever you have. If in the real estate world, it's like sell your house at the top of the market. If the market's not doing well and all of a sudden you're trying to list your house and everybody else is listing their house as well, you're like, I don't think I'm going to get what I'm hoping to get. That's my question with Knecht is, did you have more value last year when you were trying to get rid of him? And I think it is better that they have him than they don't. But my question is, what is his value going to be?
It is also interesting how everyone kind of assumed, and this is probably what it was, is that you got Luka, you're thinking you can win a championship and you need size. So you probably rush a deal to try to get Mark Williams, who's young and Luka approved. There was also the thing about how early on guys weren't guarding Dalton Knecht, and he was just sitting in the corner shooting threes as a spot up, and he was excellent. Then there was like a stat where he was actually horrible. I don't have the stat in front of me, but moving off screens to shoot threes, moving while shooting a three, he was like shot a really low percentage. And the NBA kind of found that out. I think that's why
they're like, all right, that's how we'll guard him.
That's how we'll guard him. And so the Lakers may be thinking like, hey, let's trade him when his value is at his max. Hopefully that's not the case. Hopefully he can grow and then he can add some value. But we'll see what happens with that.
All right, here's some. I'm just going to go as we keep listening on some of these. Rui showed up in the playoffs. He can grab boards and hit open threes. I would stop on the grab boards. Honestly, he does not play his size. Like there are plenty of times where you look at Rui, you look at his size, you look at his physique. I'm like, man, this dude should be grabbing. He should be grabbing 7-8 boards a game, and it's just like nothing to even think about. That's not always the case. But here's obviously somebody that's in the. Certainly a fan of Rui. Here's the problem with Thero. And Thero, I do think they're going to try to develop and see what they got with him. You just what can you really ask from a rookie? And it's almost the same thing with Dalton Knecht. Like, it's not fair to ask for some of these players for true production, but we'll see on the Thero side. Okay, let me keep going here. Gabe Vincent.
He has not lived up to what everyone thought he was going to be. It felt like Miami knew when he shot, like 42% from three or something like that in the playoffs on that run, that was probably the peak he was going to be.
He was.
And considering his injury history, that I would have no problem moving on from Gabe Vincent.
Yeah, I think Gabe's an easy one for me too. I think Gabe's, if you told me right now, I think Knecht, cool. If Knecht's in a deal, I'm not, it's fine. If Gabe Vincent's in a deal, fine. The real question is going to be, what do other teams, are they going to care about Gabe? Well, they'll care about him just because it's an expiring contract. What are they going to care about with Knecht? Okay, if it's a young team and they're like, listen, we like playing up and down the floor, we want a player like this, I could see some value in that. All right, let me kind of keep going on this list here because I think there's a couple left that I want to get your opinion on. What do you think of Kleba? What do you think of Maxey?
I want to see him because he actually wasn't that bad for the Mavs at times. And
every time I used to see him against the Lakers, I'm like, he's not bad.
No, he's not bad. There is, it's crazy that the only game he played in was the game 5 because, refused to play Jackson Hayes. Redick refused to play him. But I'm actually excited to see that. Luka knows him. He does add your kind of, 3-4 kind of in there. And back to the Rui conversation, he's not better than Rui. But another bigger piece that if there was a deal that came along for Rui that you liked would make it a little bit more, I think, easier to swallow trading him because you do have some size on your lineup where they just didn't have it before.
Yeah, Kleba, 33, will be 34 around February. His last couple of years, here's the concern. I mean, he hasn't played the most amount of games he's played in the last 4 years is 59 games, and that was 2021, 2022. So he's got a 37 in there, a 43, and last year played 34 games. Problem is he's just not available. So I think I have some curiosity on him. He's in a package, all good, no problem. He's another expiring contract. This one is a little bit interesting for me because I think he has some value, but I also started seeing his name in some of the rumors. Vanderbilt is, I think another asset that the Lakers have. And again, I think the good thing with most of these players is there is some kind of advantage of another team trading for them. Some of it could just be financial perspective. Some of it could be potential. And some of it could be like a guy like Vando, who I think can fit on a contender. I think if he's on, the right situation. But Vando, to me, my only issue is he's so one-sided that if he's not really, really contributing on the defensive side, he becomes more of an albatross. Yeah, you can say from an offensive perspective.
Yeah, I certainly wouldn't trade Vando now because I think this is when his trade value is at his all-time lowest because of the injuries. People kind of forgot about him. On that run the Lakers had when they traded for him with D'Lo and everyone, he was a big piece. And to your point, like every championship team in the past few years has had a big-time defender available. Now, Marcus Smart's going to be that guy for the Lakers this year. But if you were able to deploy him and Vando, that gives you two guys. You could have someone on the floor at all times that is an excellent defender. And we know with Luka and Reaves that's really going to be necessary. I would keep Vando. If he could somehow stay healthy, I think Vando would be a really crucial piece. And you're looking for big time defenders. I think I wouldn't trade him unless some crazy package came along.
All right. So, part of the reason why we're having this conversation is because whatever the Lakers did in the offseason, they clearly addressed some needs. Nobody's going to know, is Ayton going to pan out? I don't know. Is Marcus Smart going to play 65 games? I have no idea. Are all these pieces going to fit? We'll have to wait and find out. But the good thing, I think, with the Lakers, and it's a conversation I've really had a couple different times, is they got assets. And at least these assets can do one of two things for them. It could either help them this year for this roster, or maybe there's a player that is disgruntled, wants out, and the Lakers think that they got a legitimate shot at him, and they're going to have to put together some type of a package. That includes draft compensation. That includes, a number of different things to make it happen, which will take me to my final guy that I think is kind of the obvious one here. What do you think, the way Austin Reaves ended the season, and just wasn't all that productive in the playoffs. Wasn't the player that they needed him to be. Already you were looking at that backcourt and saying, is a backcourt like this going to work? You got Austin Reaves, you got, Luka Doncic. There just isn't enough defense. Clearly teams will try to take advantage of that. But I think we shouldn't forget how good and how productive Austin Reaves has been as a Laker, how much he's overplayed his value. Not even overplayed his contract. He's just been a really good player. Go look at his stats over the last couple of years. He's been very, very good. Is there a world you think that the Lakers are looking at Austin Reaves get close to February and saying to themselves, you know what, we got to move on from this? Or you think they're playing it out?
I think they're playing it out. I would keep Austin Reaves. I would sign Austin Reaves. I'm a big Austin Reaves supporter. I think getting rid of young, talented scorers in the league is always a mistake. Now, I understand if they don't think he's going to sign, they obviously know stuff that we don't, or there's some crazy offer that comes along where you're just nabbing so many picks and you go, you know what, we could really draft well and get someone who's a little bit more maybe equipped to play alongside Luka. I get it. But with LeBron, probably, we're assuming it's his last year as a Laker. I don't know. There's a lot going on there. But at some point, LeBron will not be there. Having Luka and Reaves growing together, and you're surrounding yourself with pieces, Vando, Marcus Smart, guys that can play defense. And I know that they've been injury prone a little bit, but you can keep adding to that. And to your point, like I remember having the conversation 2 months before. They were talking, is Austin Reaves the best third option in the league? And no, he was not good in the Minnesota series. But honestly, no one was. Honestly, outside of no one was really that good in that series. And the team was so poorly constructed with not having a center and having no size. So guys were basically trying to have to play lower in the rotation than they probably would. I think we're probably a little too down on Austin Reaves right now. And the only way I would trade him is if the Lakers are out of contention by the deadline and there's some King's ransom offer that you need.
Which I don't think that's going to be the case. I do agree that he's much more likely to be on the Lakers roster than not be on the Lakers roster. But here's a question that I would ask, and I think this is something that if you take a kind of a wider lens view, can a backcourt of Luka and Austin Reaves compete for a chip? Can that? It's not a fair question because you want to know, okay, well, who else is on the team? I mean, if who's your center? What does the rest of the roster look like? What's the depth? I mean, there's a lot of questions that come into that. Jalen Brunson has played with Luka, had pretty good success. Kyrie Irving has played with Luka, had pretty good success. So I think the one thing I would say is there is a little bit of a track record where Luka can have an offensive-minded guard with him and still have success. So I don't think there's really a question there. The question I just think becomes, if that's your backcourt, are you running a backcourt up there that is competing for an NBA championship based upon having two guys that from the defensive side are obviously not going to be nearly as good as some other backcourts that are out there? That's going to be the question. That's what Lakers are going to have to ask themselves. I've said this from the beginning. I think that Reaves has got a ton of value. I'm not out there trying to shop Austin Reaves, but it is impossible for me not to listen and not to, obviously take calls, ask the question, is this the right backcourt? But if you're asking me, hey, you're putting everything you have on the line, is Austin Reaves going to be traded this upcoming year? I don't think he's going to be traded.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm not saying I wouldn't listen to offers, but people after having a bad series, people were like before the draft, trade him right now. Well, his values at an all-time low. Were lower than it would have been when he was literally playing like an all-star halfway through the season. And I think that point's blown a little bit out of proportion. Like, yeah, Luka did go to the Western Conference Finals with Jalen Brunson. He went to the finals with Kyrie Irving. They've given you the blueprint of how to win with Luka. You have another running mate guard who maybe is not even a good defender, but can score. And you
got size too, right? Like you fill up. Mm-hmm. And you have size down low, and you have really good 3-and-D guys. You have players that, are specialists on the defensive side. You make Luka's life a lot easier because you know that, all right, yeah, maybe Luka's not going to be locking down people, but there's so many other players behind him that can help lock down. I agree with you on that. I definitely agree with you on that.
Right. And it's like we saw this team at what its worst would be with Luka and Reaves, literally not having a center. Yeah, then they get exposed like that. And I mean, when there's no size, and yes, Austin Reaves, Jaden McDaniels had a field day with him. So I understand people's frustration with Austin Reaves, but I think people are probably a little too quick to just ship him out of town. Again, unless some Kings ransom offer comes, I would keep him unless the Lakers are falling out of contention.
So to Mike here, I don't think anybody's saying he's as good as Jalen Brunson or Kyrie Irving. I will say this. No one knew how good Jalen Brunson was until he left Dallas, right? Until he got the keys in New York and it was like, go do your thing. And I think the idea is more both of these players played off ball with Luka. And that's kind of what Austin Reaves is doing, playing off ball. Now, there's obviously a lot of times that he's got the ball in his hands as well. So let me look a couple more of these comments. You know, it's kind of funny. We haven't heard Reaves' name in a while. Once the playoffs ended, all I heard about was Austin Reaves this, Austin Reaves that. And that one's gone kind of quiet. That one's gone kind of quiet for a while. Probably also because LeBron is posting photos with a Clippers logo in the background. That could also have something to do with it. But it's gone quiet. And now it feels like, okay, hey, the dust has settled. Let's start having the Austin Reaves conversation again. It feels like that's the case. Let me look at a couple more of these comments. By the way, there are a lot of Laker fans that are saying, no, you got to shop this guy. We keep AR, we pay him a toxic $30 million contract, and later we complain. You know what's crazy? $30 million used to sound like a lot.
Yeah, it's not even that much in the NBA.
That's not, what I'm trying to tell you is toxic contracts are not $30 million anymore. And Austin Reaves is also young enough and good enough and has value in the league that I don't think it's going to be toxic unless this guy just nosedives, and I don't see him nosediving. All right, let's get a couple more in here. Yep. Tell me how you feel. There are a lot of people that, and it's okay. This is everybody's opinion on here, and I want people's opinion. It feels like there are a lot of people much louder about Reaves ain't it than, keep Reaves on the team.
Yeah, and I do think a lot of this goes back to the playoffs. Like, I get it. I was frustrated that Reaves, too. He did not show up, and he didn't play well. And I know we heard he was foot injured, but his foot was injured. But everyone's injured in the playoffs. Again, I think the lack of size, that series.
There's a trickle effect. There's a trickle effect. Like what you're saying about the lack of size. Like, if there's certain areas, I don't know. I'll give you an example. It's like, in the NFL, if you don't have a good offensive line, what really?
Hall of Fame receivers everywhere. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. Yeah, and you could. By the way, you can have an unbelievable quarterback. It doesn't matter. Like all these things need to connect.
And if there was a center last year that was playing well, let's just throw DeAndre Ayton in there. Will he be good? Will he not be good? We'll see. But then Rui is playing in his natural spot. He's not dropping down to center. LeBron is playing in his natural spot at the 3 or the 4. Not dropping down to center. So then Reaves is really playing at the 2, not really guarding a 3 in Jaden McDaniels. So I think there's a massive, to your point, massive trickle effect that people are easy to just go ship Reaves off. It's like, I hear you. If there's a crazy offer, I get it. I would keep Reaves. I think we would look at trading Austin Reaves, and then we're like, who's going to help score when LeBron leaves with Luka? I think that's the next conversation.
All right, I did this. I guess I'm not too surprised about it, but there was some chatter about the starting lineup and who should be in the starting lineup, who shouldn't. Let's just use this roster that we have right now. What do you think? And this is just, look, we're on August 1st, so it's not like Lakers got a big game coming up tomorrow at Houston, right? But if you're looking at trying to kind of fast forward, if you are making a decision of the starting 5 for the Lakers, a lot of people I would have in the discussion that would be like, Al, it's not about the starting 5. It's who closes. Sure. My only hesitation with who closes with the Lakers, I don't think there's a guarantee of who closes for the Lakers. I think there is a little bit of, well, how's one player playing? Who are you going up against? Like, I think that might change probably more often than not. What would be your starting 5?
So if it's a smaller lineup that they're playing, like let's just say Oklahoma City, I would go.
Can I say this? Can I say?
Yeah.
They're probably not going to switch based off of matchups that they're going to play.
Okay.
If they're just if you're rolling the ball out and I'm going to pretend everybody's healthy. I'm not worried about Marcus Smart's health. I'm not worried about anything. I'm just saying, give me your starting 5. Who do you think? Who would you put as a starting 5?
Okay, I would go Luka, Marcus Smart. Then the real decision between Rui and Reaves. I would probably lean Reaves, but there is a thought to me to bringing him off the bench and letting him try to be sixth man of the year. And then LeBron and Aiden. I think not to switch the lineup, but I think that would certainly be based on the size of the other team. If they're playing Oklahoma City, I would go Reaves. I think you want to match the scoring of them a little bit and add another scorer out there. If you're playing some, I don't know, maybe Denver or someone, maybe you go Rui to try to add a little size. But I think Marcus Smart certainly needs to be in the starting lineup to help Luka and Reaves with defense, and especially if Reaves is out there as well, because then you would have two defenders who can't really defend.
So I don't mind that. Here's my only hesitation with taking Rui out of the starting lineup. My problem with taking Rui out of the starting lineup, and I'm okay with having Marcus Smart. If you told me today Marcus Smart is healthy, I would try. What does it look like with Luka, Marcus Smart, LeBron, Rui, and DeAndre Ayton? And let Reaves get 30 minutes a night. And if he's coming off the bench, he's going to play starter minutes. He's mostly going to close out games anyways, but let there be a little bit more of a focal point around Austin Reaves when the bench comes in. Here's my only issue with Rui. My issue with Rui is I think Rui's probably going to be most productive when Luka's in the game, when LeBron's in the game, when other stars are in the game.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're bringing Rui Hachimura off the bench and saying, Rui, go get yours. He's just not that player. This doesn't seem like he is that player, nor does it seem like he's comfortable in that situation. So that's my only hesitation with Rui coming off the bench, where I think Reaves is that guy. I think Reaves 100% could be the guy like, I'm going to cook off the bench.
That's an excellent point because, too, yes, Rui probably would. If you're looking at who's going to be able to have shot creation for themselves, you look at Reaves over Rui. And also Reaves, and people are going to go, well, how are you going to pay him $30 million a year to come off the bench? If Reaves, I think the defensive woes would be less exposed if he was coming off the bench and he was simply concerned with scoring. And your job is to lead the second unit. I need you to get 20 a game.
And he can facilitate. I think he's underrated from I'll set some other guys up as well. He's not selfish.
If everyone's healthy, and that's a big if, you could have Vando running with him on the second unit. So you'd have an elite defender running with Reaves. There's just a lot here. I think the Lakers adding Marcus Smart added a lot of options to the lineup versus then because if you didn't have Marcus Smart, you would be sitting here going, okay, are you going to throw Vando in the starting lineup for some defense? Well, now you got to have Reaves because you got to have some scoring outside because, Vando's not going to score. So I really like the Marcus Smart ad. I think they could go a lot of different ways with it, but I like your starting lineup too.
All right. Keep rolling here. Let's see what we got here. Guys, stop yelling at each other. Everything's going to be okay. All right. It's Friday, August 1st.
People are very aggravated at each other.
The season's literally, tip-off isn't for like 3 months. Everything will be okay. All right. So I had on here, you and I were kind of brainstorming a little bit yesterday. And one of the topics I thought I thought was interesting that you brought up, kind of explain the direction. I think both teams were sort of on a similar path last year. The Golden State Warriors and the Lakers. There were some times where we were looking at both of the teams and we were saying to ourselves, like, hey, could they face each other in the playoffs? Damn, that would be a really, really tough first round for both of these teams. It didn't end up happening. The Warriors, just like a loss here and a loss there, really shook up the standings towards the end, as you remember. And they end up playing the Rockets, and they beat the Rockets in the first round. Steph gets injured, and then that's a wrap. The direction of where the Warriors and the Lakers are going, talk a little bit about that, because I think there is a little bit of a different structure when it looked like both teams were kind of heading in a similar direction.
Yeah, it's odd because we didn't get to see, if you're like a Warrior fan, you didn't get to see that team really go. And that it was kind of a shame because you feel like they could have given Minnesota a hell of a series. Steph gets hurt in the first game. And they are, the Lakers used to be doing remember the Carmelo Anthony, and they signed all veterans, Rajon Rondo. And it felt like for years people were coming on here, kind of back to my Reaves point about how we don't have young, talented players. It's all guys in their 30s. AD was getting a little bit older and injury prone. And then you have, LeBron. So they totally flipped that with the Luka deal and drafting some young talent. And it feels like the Warriors are the exact opposite. They're like holding on to the dynasty. Let's run it back one more year. Curry's 37. I believe Jimmy Butler's like 35, 36. Draymond's up there in age, 37. And it's just odd to me that they won't sign Kuminga, because that felt like the kind of next in line, like, hey, you can develop Jonathan Kuminga, so when these guys are really out of the league, you have something to build around, where it feels like him and Steve Kerr's relationship is so fractured.
I agree.
That it's just like, they're honestly, it's like so in to trade him, and it's like, so you're probably
here's the funny thing. I don't know if they want to trade him. I think they just kind of have him because he's restricted. It's like, you can't call the shots. We're going to call the shots. And I've said this a couple of different times. I think, look, eventually you're going to need a youth movement in Golden State. And the Lakers are kind of in the process now of a youth movement. I mean, look at every move that they're making. For the most part, they're trying to short-term deals, okay, hey, at the longest this will go is maybe 2 more years, and then they move on from there. But I think with Kuminga, they got him kind of boxed out in a corner. And I've heard some people say this, and I really agree with it. If I'm Kuminga, cool, I'll just play 1 more year here, and I'll be an unrestricted free agent next year. He has a little bit of juice as well, and I think he has value in the league. He's only 22.
It's odd to me how the media narrative that was like spun from the Warriors is because they offered like 2 years, $40 million, then they upped it to 2 years, 45.
Yeah,
which, like, to all of us is a lot of money, but to in NBA terms, they didn't really up the offer that much. And especially he's getting $90 million offers for the Suns and the Kings.
The Phoenix, yeah.
And they like, and then they spin it like Kuminga is somehow being ungrateful. It's like, well, you don't play the guy, and then he shows you in the playoffs when Curry goes out and you have to play him because he's literally the only guy with talent on the bench that he can score. He was averaging like 20 points a game. He had like 27, 30 in that one game. And then it's so odd to me how, like, I'm just happy the Lakers, for whatever it is, maybe they're, we'd like to see, we think they're a little too young or they're not quite there. They're going in that youth movement versus trying to just hold on to something that it feels like the Lakers were doing for years with with LeBron and AD. And it just felt like it was kind of running your head in the brick wall every year.
Here's the problem, I think, with the Warriors. I think they are building a perception they don't want to have, because I don't know if there's some players and agents out there that are saying, hey, I like the way that's playing out. You know what I mean? So I think there's a little bit of, you're not respecting the talent. You're kind of holding the dude hostage. You can do that. You got the power and the leverage to do it, but there are repercussions to that, and I think if you're watching the Warriors in the offseason, I don't think you're looking at them and saying, hey, they're taking care of their player. I think they're taking advantage of their player. And I just don't think that's a good perception. I think honestly, I think it's a dumb strategy. We'll see what they end up doing. Okay. The last thing I want to get into, and I'll let you kind of explain this. What were you talking about? Most pressure right now around the NBA? You're talking about with teams. Kind of explain what the angle that you had there.
I was just thinking yesterday. I was like, what team has, like? I'm curious your thoughts on this, because I was kind of spitballing a few teams. Like, what team has the most pressure if they don't win a title next year? Will we see the most, like, wholesale changes? Like, coach may be fired, maybe serious players moved, and kind of like, because everyone like the Lakers are always, because of the Lakers, thought of as kind of a do or die year. And I was just wondering, like, are the Lakers have the most pressure to win next year, or is there other teams that have way more pressure?
Do you think that, it's kind of funny. I don't think there's a lot of pressure on the Lakers. There's always pressure. It's the Lakers. They're supposed to win. They got to do this. They got to tie this up. I get all that. But I think if you take a step back and you ask yourself, okay, what's realistic for the Lakers? Okay, we'll wait and find out. I mean, if Lakers don't win a championship or they don't get to the NBA Finals, what does blowing it up mean for the Lakers? I mean, it's kind of like they got a lot of short-term contracts anyways. Guys are going to be coming off the books. I don't think it's the Lakers. I will say that some of these that will be interesting. The Rockets have a lot of pressure, but they're also, it's weird because they're young, and then they're also not young because Fred VanVleet and Kevin Durant, they just went out and made a lot of moves. So I think there'll be pressure. I think there'll be a lot of pressure on the Rockets. The Clippers, you got a window that's closing very, very fast. You're kind of all in right now. I think there's a lot of pressure too on Denver. Just kind of look at the moves that they made and wanting to make sure Jokic is happy. If you ask me who's got the most pressure in the NBA, I think there's a pressure from the Bucks just because you don't know what Giannis is going to do. So I think those are a few teams that come into mind, and the Knicks as well. The Knicks have, if there's ever a path in the Eastern Conference for the Knicks to take advantage of, right now is the time for them to take advantage of it.
I agree with all those. I would also throw Cleveland in there. I think Cleveland, as at some point, it's like you kind of had the youth movement, you let it grow naturally, trying to kind of do the Oklahoma City thing, and you get shelled out last year in the playoffs by the Pacers. Well, now
I don't think they've got past the second round, if I'm right. I don't think they've got past the second round.
And it's like they're the favorite kind of by default. I never see a team be a favorite in a conference, whether it's the NFL or the MLB or the NBA, kind of by default, because everyone got hurt or they blew it up around them. Pacers with Halliburton getting hurt and Tatum with the Celtics getting hurt. I feel like they got a lot of pressure. I agree with all the teams you said. The Houston thing's interesting. It's certainly, I think the player with the most pressure is Kevin Durant, because he's talked about he believes he should be in the GOAT conversation. You won 2 with the Warriors. Didn't work out in Brooklyn. Didn't work out in Phoenix. Didn't work out in Oklahoma City before all that. Now you're in Houston. You're one of the favorites to win the whole thing. I mean, at some point, like, you have to actually win it, and it kind of flips back on him. I also think the Clippers, certainly, because they just got older, and they just keep getting older, even though they're injury prone. So they are 100% a lot of pressure. And then Denver,
LeBron's going over there. They're fine. LeBron's going over there. He's
dude, that wears me
taking
out
photos.
So much. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I'm like, this guy. Listen, this might not be popular, okay, but
okay. All right.
But LeBron is methodical. Anyone who thinks LeBron's dumb, LeBron is not a dumb person. LeBron is very smart and figures and is very methodical.
He's very calculated in every single thing that he does. There's a reason for why he does what he does.
And like, he's playing golf out in Ohio on the 4th of July, and everyone's freaking out, and they're like, oh, he's gonna go to Cleveland. And then he posts something about like, oh, go grab a plate, stop worrying about what I'm doing. And then all of a sudden he's back on the Lakers. He's ready. Luka wants him here reporting. He's gonna report to camp. And then we're posting.
It's a coincidence. I don't know what you're talking about.
Athletes with hundreds of millions of followers don't post things without knowing exactly.
He didn't even know there were 2 Clipper logos in the background. He had no idea.
There's one in the bottom corner in case you didn't see the one above his face.
I don't know what you're talking about. I think this clearly was an accident. I think the moment this was posted, he went to his photographer and said, I cannot believe what just happened here. No, listen, of course it's methodical, and I get it. People say Clutch Sports is using the, I get all that. Guys, look at the photo. You cannot get the 2 logos perfectly placed any better. I understand. Yeah. This was straight up looked like a photo shoot, okay? So it was like 3, 2, 1. Go ahead, Bron. Take the photo.
Yeah, that's not a natural stretch.
Well, listen, I started the show saying to myself that one, if I'm going to be complete, it bothered me. I'm just like, LeBron, what are you doing? Like, you got all the attention. It's fine. You don't need any more attention. Everything's fine. Yeah. This one kind of annoyed me.
And to get into it,
I'm gonna lie to you.
Not to like, and this doesn't come back to Bronny, but so if you take away the Bronny name of the fact that his last name is James, and LeBron said before he got drafted he's better than half the players in the Lakers, you take all that away, and you look at that, just the prospect, and you look at number 55 in the draft, it's probably a good pick considering he was the 17th overall recruit out of high school. He didn't play that much at USC because he was hurt. He's a lot of upside, you would say, for that pick in the draft. But it's also like, LeBron, the Lakers drafted your son. They got you a superstar. They basically have gotten you everything you've ever asked for. I don't know what LA has done, what the Lakers have done to not value you. And then it feels like every year, halfway through the season. I mean, the thing that drove me crazy.
Can I just say this? If I'm LeBron James, here's what I'm saying. I took your franchise that was completely in the dumps and I made them relevant again. And I really, truly mean that. And I know probably a lot of Laker fans will be like, what are you talking about? It's the Lakers. It's this. They hadn't made the playoffs for 6 years in a row. And LeBron came out of nowhere and he's like, I'm going to the Lakers. He knew the power of the brand. He wanted to be in LA. Yes, this was a good business decision. It was all that stuff. He also basically took the Lakers from literally the worst stretch of Lakers history that they've ever had in the history of the franchise, or at least since Dr. Jerry Buss. So he can also sit there and put his chest out and say, I'm freaking LeBron James. I just, these just happen so often with Like the latest one with the Clipper photo, I'm just like,
do you remember the game? This is a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. I can't remember. It was the Lakers played the Celtics. They were 15.5-point dogs. LeBron and AD had sat out the game, and because AD was hurt and LeBron had like kind of a mystery injury, and there was a lot of reports that he was wanted out the day before. Remember, D'Lo and Reaves had 30 points apiece, and they went.
I do remember that.
Okay. Yeah. And then they're like jumping off the bench in the.
Wait, was this is against the Celtics?
Yeah, and when the Celtics were like, they won the title that year, I believe.
I think Vandal got injured that game. That's the game that Vandal got injured.
Yes. And D'Lo and Reaves couldn't miss. It's just, I don't know. It's a little frustrating to me. Like, I get it. LeBron did resurrect the franchise. But when we've heard all these reports about LeBron wants to be on a winner for possibly his last year. Well, the Lakers have the 6th best championship odds in Vegas. So they're not that far off. No, are they the favorite? No. But Vegas is telling you they have a chance. I don't understand all this. It seemed like everything was good, and now we're posting pictures with the Clipper logo. Like
here's the, here's the reality. I understand where LeBron is coming from. I understand this is it for me. I got maybe 1 or 2 years left, and that's a wrap. I want another shot at winning an NBA championship. Bron, if I told you who was the best player for the Lakers in the playoffs against Minnesota, guys, Bron was amazing. Like, all right, you can point out whatever you want, and you could say, you can bitch and complain. Bron didn't do this, Bron didn't do that. He's 40, and he's still doing things that are as good as any player on the court. So I think with that in mind, I get where he's coming from. For me, it's more just the approach, right? It's how you approach it. How much of this is for attention? How much of this can you handle in the background? Are there other players out there that are looking at the Lakers and saying, too much drama there. I don't know if I want to go there, or I don't know if I want to play. Whatever the case is, right? So we'll see. We'll obviously see what happens. Let me read one of these here. Vegas is for gambling. We have the 10th best odds on ESPN.
Vegas knows. Never listen to ESPN. Vegas knows. They have money invested. ESPN is trying to get clicks. Okay. It's always about Vegas. It should be the other way around.
Well, but I think the point is that he's trying to make is people will bet on the Yankees. They will bet on the Lakers. They will make those bets on those kind of the most popular franchises. I think that's the point that he's trying to make. All right, Sammy, let's I think we hit on a lot of topics here. That was solid. I think we got through everything.
We said keep Austin Reaves. LeBron's frustrating us.
Yes.
What else did we get?
And they need him.
And they need him.
At the end of the day, we could say whatever you want about. They still need him, and they're going to need him.
Of course, they need him. Yeah.
And they're going to need him this upcoming year, and then obviously we'll find out what happens after that. Brother, I appreciate you coming on. Thank you for preparing some of those topics. Hope you have a great weekend, and then you and I will catch up again next week. All right, buddy?
Alan, you're the best, dude. Thank you, everybody.
All right, that is Sammy Long right there. Good job by Sammy. Fun conversation. I know a lot of people kind of have their own opinion and their own thoughts and everything else, but I think it's fair to have some of the arguments that we're having, some of the frustrations that we might be having and everything else. But I liked all the topics that we hit on there. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that as well. Okay. I still got a couple things left to do, and I want to clarify some things for the month of August of what I'm going to be doing. So I'll do that here towards the end. Shout out to Brad Wallace and the Wallace firm. I want to give listeners a quick shout out here. Yesterday I was talking to Brad Wallace, and just so you guys know, I'll take you guys a little bit behind the scenes. I got a lot going on with the channel, and there's a lot that I'm working on in the background. And I call Brad. Why do I call Brad? I kind of try to take his business advice. So I talk to him a lot outside of just advertising or anything along those lines. He's an injury attorney, serious injury, wrongful death case. He's there for you. I hope you never need him, but he's there for you. Brad was telling me yesterday, and this really, really means a lot to me. There was somebody who listens to this show on a continuous basis who just a couple days ago, I think it was on Wednesday, reached out to the Wallace firm and basically say, hey, listen, I listen to Sliwa, listen to Hoops Talk, and I have a situation. Can you help me? It means so much to me because, at the end of the day, what I want this to be successful for their business. And that's just a great conversation to have, that there's listeners on here. Again, I hope you're never in a situation or a position where you need an injury attorney. But if you do, He's the best in the business. He can help anybody in the state of California. And it was just so great to hear that there are people out there that are listening to this, that listen to the partnership and are like, hey, Al's told me about the Wallace firm. I'm reaching out to Brad Wallace. We created a URL, wallacewins.com/Sliwa, wallacewins.com/Sliwa. If you or anybody you know, family member, whatever the case is in a predicament, a situation, maybe it's a car accident, you just don't know what to do. Daunting, intimidating process. Start with Brad Wallace and the Wallace firm. If he can't help you, he's going to put you in touch with somebody who can help you. I think that's the most important point I want to get across. He can help anybody in the state of California. wallacewins.com/Sliwa, wallacewins.com/Sliwa. Okay. Couple other things to just jump through real quick, and then we will keep it moving. ESPN, I did see this NBA offseason power rankings. This is how all 30 teams stack up. We'll look at this together so you guys can look at it, and this just kind of gives everybody an idea of how everybody views the Lakers and the rest of the teams in the NBA. You know, I've said this before. I mean, obviously, I got a lot of content focused here on the Lakers, but huge NBA fan. Love talking about some of these other NBA stories. Take a look here. OKC, number 1 in the ranking. No surprise, no shock. Houston Rockets. This is basically after free agency shuts down. It settles down, whatever you want to call it. This is where everybody is. Top 3 teams on this ranking are all in the West. OKC, Houston, and Denver. Cleveland comes in at number 4. New York at number 5. So Lakers clearly not in the top 5. They put the Minnesota Timberwolves at number 6. They put the Clippers at number 7. Guys, that's now 5 of the top 7 teams in the NBA in the Western Conference. Number 8, they got Orlando. Number 9, they got the Golden State Warriors. And here's where they got the Lakers. They got the Lakers at number 10. Obviously, adding DeAndre Ayton and Marcus Smart. Some of the guys that left, we know the biggest name there, I would say Dorian Finney-Smith. So that gives you a little bit of an idea of where ESPN puts the Lakers as far as some of their rankings go. So something to keep in mind in regards to that front. You know, I'm not going to do too much with that. Kind of is what it is. I just want to point it out. That's, you know, something that I think is a little bit relevant where ESPN's putting them. They're putting them at 10. And they got, I think, 7 teams in the Western Conference in the top 10. That just kind of shows you, of course, how stacked the West is. Have Minnesota up there, too. Maybe I'm not as high as on Minnesota as maybe some other people are. Okay, we got a couple NBA stories, weekend preview, and then we are going to call it a day. Weekend preview, of course, is presented by the Wallace firm. Sure I got the right thing up here. wallacewins.com/Sliwa. wallacewins.com/Sliwa. If you need an injury attorney, if you're in the state of California, he could point you in the right direction. Okay, a couple things here real quick. Mikal Bridges, 4 years, $150 million extension, ends up with the New York Knicks. I mean, no real surprise there. I was reading some stories that it was originally expected that he'd be probably making closer to $200 million when he initially got traded there. So $150 is what he's getting, and, you know, something to keep in mind in regards to that. Only other thing that I saw, the Warriors show zero interest in what Suns have to offer for Jonathan Kuminga. They're being aggressive. Phoenix wants to get him. 4 years, combined $90 million per ESPN, but the trade package, since he is restricted, the Golden State Warriors have no interest in that. So we'll see where this eventually kind of ends up. As far as weekend preview goes, just a couple things. NFL is back. They started yesterday. They had the Hall of Fame game. August 7th, which is this upcoming Thursday, preseason schedule will begin. So something to keep in mind in regards to that. And then MLB obviously was pretty hectic yesterday. Trade deadline. It was kind of wild how many different trades were going on. But for those who are interested in Major League Baseball, just stay in the NL West here real quick. Giants are taking on the Mets. Giants are just kind of in a free fall right now. I don't know how many they've lost, 6, 7 in a row. They went from right in the thick of the playoff hunt to not being in the mix. Dodgers are taking on the Rays. Tampa Bay. Dodgers with a 3-game lead over the San Diego Padres, and then Padres are taking on the Cardinals. They got that game coming up at 6:40 tonight. So gives you a little bit of idea from a baseball perspective. Pretty wild day yesterday in baseball. So pretty crazy how it was all going down. Last thing I'm going to mention here, and then we are going to call it a week. And thank you very much for the week. Who do we have on this week? Dave McMenamin enjoyed the show. Trevor Lane, Sammy came and chimed in. Shout out to obviously our partners, Brad Wallace and the Wallace firm, and of course, Matt Unger from Lexus Santa Monica. Last thing I'll mention to everybody, and then we're going to get out of here. So, August, I was really kind of brainstorming what I wanted to do in the month of August. This will be the slowest month in sports. And, I definitely am going to want to take some time off as before we get into September. And then obviously in October, everything's in full swing again. So as of now, what I'm going to do starting next week in the month of August, I'm going to do a show Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. What I don't want to do is force shows. I don't want to, to be honest with you, the content's been holding up. We've been doing great. The views have been phenomenal. So I appreciate everybody watching. But starting in August, my plan is to go Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Go 3 days a week. So take a little bit of time off. I may even take one of these weeks and take a full week off and just, take a little bit of a decompressor, work on some other things that I'm working on as well. So that's the plan for now. So I just want to give everybody a heads up on that. We'll probably scale it back a little bit in the month of August, primarily just because, you also want to get a little bit of a breather. And I want to make sure when I am putting in content, it's content that's not forced. It's content that I want to be having. So that's my plan for now. That doesn't mean that there might be other days where I'm like, screw it. I'm going to keep rolling. I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. It's just going to kind of, I think, just be a case-by-case basis. Still will break any news if any news is breaking. Last thing I will say, I really, really hope you guys will consider being a member of the channel. I'm putting a link on here. It's $3 a month to be a member of the channel. Would really, really love for as many members, as many people to be an MVP member. So please give it some consideration. I greatly appreciate that. And I will call it a day from there. Thank you, everybody. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Hope you have a great weekend. I will see you guys again on Monday morning at 8 a.m. and we will go from there. Thank you for a great show. Thanks, everybody.